All right, as we head into fall, wasp and hornet issues are going to be picking up. We are kind of in the tail end of not the tail end, probably about 2/3 of the way through wasp, bad part of wasp and hornet season. So there's a few things that you can do to not wasp proof, but prevent some things that you can do for your house or any other building. Some common areas that you're going to find wasp and hornets coming and going from are going to be anywhere where you have a corner in your soffit, which is going to be that kind of ledge underneath your roof, the overhang. That's going to be a really common spot. Really anywhere in the soffit is going to be kind of a target area, but in the corners especially, where the contractors tend to cut corners a little bit or kind of fudge things a little bit one way or the other where they might not quite fit right, which allows the wasp and hornets to get in. So soffit is a big one. Anywhere where you have vents going in and out, if they are uncovered, I recommend putting like probably a 1/8 or a 1/4 inch mesh over most or all of your vents that vent outside. So things for like your dryer, any other air circulatory systems, or venting issues. That's a common one. Chimneys. Old chimneys are pretty common for wasp and hornet issues. Also pretty common with honeybees. They like to get in there, and the inside reminds them of a tree trunk, but it's even extra protected because it's stone and not wood. So that's pretty common for honeybees to get in there as well. Anywhere really in your walls they can get into. If you have electrical boxes, meter reader kind of areas, outlets and that kind of thing on the outside of your house, bees will get in behind your siding there. Wasp and hornets are famous for doing it. Also shutters, especially on buildings, older buildings or mobile homes, that kind of thing, that have the older shutters that don't actually work. They're more decorative than anything. Wasps, yellow jackets like to build in behind there because during the daylight, the sun will heat that up pretty well, and it radiates heat in that tiny little area, which helps kind of regulate the temperature there for that whatever colony is there. So yellow jackets are famous for going in behind your decorative stuff there. Excuse me. This is the time of year that you're also going to start seeing what I call tree bees. Feral colonies or wild colonies that have taken up residency in a tree. In that case, at this point in the year, definitely I recommend leaving them alone until spring. See if they survive winter on their own there. Trying to do a forced abscond, which is really the only way to get them out of a tree if you want to keep your tree, at this point in the year is not recommended because they just don't have the time to build up the resources, the food and things to survive winter. So I definitely recommend leaving those in place at least until spring. Same thing with cutouts. I recommend leaving those in place starting about this time frame, this kind of weather, until spring. Cutouts out of buildings are still doable at this point, especially if you are skilled enough to remove as much of the brood and resources, pollen, honey, and everything as possible. And I recommend not taking any of it. Give as much of that back to the hive the colony as you can, to get them to survive winter if you do a cutout this late. Other places to look are for ground wasps, especially late season mowing. They're going to get a little bit more aggressive at this point in the year because they do realize that winter is coming. They've got to protect their resources, and they get a little bit more aggressive. Edges of brickwork, masonry work, especially where you have stone or brickwork meeting wood, any kind of crack or anything in there, if it's a 1/4 inch or bigger, a wasp or something can get in there. So that's a pretty common spot to find them in columns, like porch columns and that kind of thing, inside the brickwork there. Underneath windows, same kind of issue, especially if you have brickwork where the window ledge meets the brickwork. There's quite often a gap there that wasp and hornets will crawl down into. Under cement work, like a sidewalk or cement steps at this point in the year, if you see any bee activity under there, it's more than likely going to be a bumblebee type subspecies that lives underground in that case. But they can show up there, especially if you have loose or rocky, sandy soil. If you're in a floodplain type deal or whatnot, you will tend to get ground wasps a little bit more frequently than other people, just because of the soil type. It's so much easier for the wasps to dig down in there and to create their little dome area inside there. They build like little caverns under the ground. It's pretty neat, but that's also a reason why they're so hard to get rid of. Those are a few common areas to really look for, especially in the peaks of roofs, underneath the soffit in the peaks of roofs or other buildings is a common spot for especially yellow jackets to build. At this point in the year, if you do have bald-faced hornets, they will more than likely be found in trees. They can build on houses, but I find they like to build in trees more, or on and around electrical equipment, like dish satellites, electrical boxes, and that kind of thing. So they can be found there. And if they are left unchecked, especially if they've been left unchecked most of the summer, they can be pretty decent size and pretty aggressive at this point in the year. So let me know if you find any or you have any issues. There's a couple other pretty common areas that I will probably think about and add in the description here. If you have any issues, definitely let me know. If you have any questions, definitely let me know as well.